In April of 1940, the United States Pacific Fleet had left its home base at California to conduct naval exercises in the Pacific. They used Pearl Harbor as their base of operations, even though the facility lacked the proper fuel and munitions and other supplies necessary to maintain and operate a fleet of this caliber. President Roosevelt had stationed the fleet there to serve as a deterrent against Japan attacking Allied colonies in the Pacific. This began a game of naval chess in which Roosevelt unknowingly had a running timer. In the late 19th century, Japan began a slow, steady march of territorial expansion to become a great power, just like the European colonial superpowers. However, they were already there and had been there for centuries, so Japan had some serious competition. See, Japan was a small island country in the middle of, East Asia, and they had very few natural resources, so there was a huge need to not only have a lot of resources, but to also have a large navy to protect those colonies and resource-rich territories. In the wake of World War I, Japan had seized German colonies in the Pacific, which is generally ironic in my opinion. They also adapted a more militarist ideology later down the line in the early 30s, although not so willingly. The problem was, for these colonies, which potentially had strategic and resource potential, Japan was limited by the Washington Naval Treaty to 3 capital ships for every 5 the US and Britain possessed. Additionally, because colonial superpowers from Europe had already been in the Pacific for centuries, Japan had some serious competition to deal with, on top of a powerful naval opponent in the form of Great Britain. Britain, over the course of World War I, had sent some experienced naval officers to train their Japanese counterparts to help the Japanese fight in the Pacific. This led to a future powerful IJN, Imperial Japanese Navy, but this did not help them because the United States, by 1919, had turned Pearl Harbor into a fully functional naval base. And Japan looked at the base with unease and uncertainty and thought of the possibility of a powerful American surface force at their doorstep, which understandably made them a little nervous because their goal was expansion, and America did not like that because the expansion involved taking territory from Western allies. So Japan became increasingly hostile towards the West, and they invaded China, a country at the time with very friendly relations to the West. They weren't hostile, at least. The IJN was at this time running out of fuel because of American sanctions, and America gave Japan about 80% of their required oil to run their fleet. So they made the decision to strike back, to sweep the US Navy off balance and buy themselves time to run wild in the Pacific and take territory. The Imperial Japanese Navy, specifically the first mobile fleet, the Kido Butai, consisting of 6 very powerful fleet carriers, attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. That Sunday began the Pacific War.